So we'll go ahead and get started here. First up, we're going to have Vivek talking about what's new in QuestionPro and where we're taking this. A few fun facts about Viv are QuestionPro. When he started it, he's put a T1 line in his house, put up 2 servers in his garage, and to save money, he even bought the parts for the servers and assembled them himself. So the T1 line costs about $450 a month, and he assembled both computers for $1,500. That's how QP got started in the garage. And if you're wondering, we are still using those same 2 servers today. So that's something that's happening. I think without further ado, I'll have Vivek come up.
Thank you, everybody. A little nervous. This is our first event that we've put together in the States, and so super happy that everybody showed up. So that was a big question when we started, like, hey, are people going to show up? Like, yeah, actually, people did show up. So I'll start off with a little bit about myself, a little journey about me. I was born in India, and then I couldn't, after my high school, I guess I couldn't get into the IITs. These are the premier institutions in India. And then I said, I'm going to go to Russia, I guess. So I lived in Moscow for 2 years, and then I realized that's a bad idea. So then I went to Provo, Utah. Okay, I landed there. I'm like, okay, this is interesting, really interesting. So finished off my schooling there, went to BYU there, and finished off my schooling there, and then went to Seattle after that. And 1 second. Oops, there we go. All right, I'm going to get this right. All right. So, I would say, like, let me get this right first. I think this is working. All right, let's see if it keeps. There we go. Oh. All right, got my clicker right at least. Right. Look, yeah, we got the delay and we got everything. So. Yeah, we started QuestionPro, like Dan said, started in the garage, and today we have about 200 employees. We have offices in Mexico, Dubai, Germany. We're going to open one in Australia, and obviously here in Austin. So it's been quite a journey and quite an experience for myself. And today I really want to talk about kind of what experience means and why is it important. We've all kind of heard about experience in many different ways, and the way we think about experience today is to kind of like the transformative power of experience. That's what I think is very interesting and very impactful. As people, as you think about it, people are spending less money on cars, more money on experiences, right? I mean, in India there was a pretty amazing statistic. Year over year, car purchases have declined by 40%, straight up, 40% car purchases. The entire automobile sector is getting obviously kind of reimagined because obviously with the rise of Uber and Lyft and the equivalent thereof throughout the planet. So talking about Uber, one of the ways that I think Uber has pioneered kind of thinking about experiences, right? Uber had this interesting problem. They had a driver and a passenger, and one of the smartest things they did was they measured every single transaction, right? If you used Uber, literally every single transaction was being measured using the 5-star rating, right? But that a lot of people do, and I would say like that's not massively interesting. But what was really, really, really smart that they did was that they operationalized that CX data immediately. What do I mean by that? That means that as soon as you give somebody a bad rating, you could not get a car, or you could get a car. Operationally, they kind of took the data, took the experience data, and they operationalized it, right? So they used that data instead of just putting a PowerPoint deck and a dashboard. They actually use that data to change the business effectively, right? And so that's the key part that you'll see that theme throughout the day today is like not just collecting data for the sake of collecting data, but actually using that data to change behavior, right? Because ultimately what we're all looking for is behavior change or behavior enhancement effectively. So it's one thing to collect the data, and there's another thing to actually kind of make the changes, if you will. So let's kind of, one of the things that I do want to touch about is like how have we evolved over the last 10 years. So first it was like let's measure everything, right? In 2010, like, let's measure everything that we can so we can improve it. Then, 2015 was like, let's kind of get the data to the right people at the right place at the right time. Get the data out to the right group of people, and they can make the change. And today, I think it's about not only just getting the data out, but coming up with transformation models, right? A good example, one, we are kind of like working with Canada Post today, and said like, look, we have 6,500 stores. It's traditional retail outlet, and it's the Canada Post. I mean, there's how are they going to make more money? How are they going to enhance things? And the only way, when I was talking to the head of retail there, and this like the only way we can really do it is through better training our employees, right? We have 6,500 stores, 2.5, 3 employees per store, and they need to be trained. But the question is, what do you train them on? We've invested over $10 million coming up with all of these training modules. But we have 12,000 employees, $10 million on this side. How do we connect the dots together, right? What do we train people on? And so what we've proposed, and we are working with them right now, is to say, hey, look, let us take the experience data and use that data to determine what training modules, who needs what training modules, right? Now that can change, that can transform things. That can make a difference. Instead of just producing an NPS score and putting it in a dashboard and saying, hey, your NPS score went up by 10%. The obvious question, so what do we do? What do I do? So for Canada Post, it's like, okay, the transformation model is training at that point, right? So can we train 12,000 employees in a smart way, and give that data? But with the input of that is obviously experience data. The output of that is actually training rather than just metrics. So that's kind of my fundamental point over there. Like, if you don't make any changes, then collecting data is useless, effectively, right? And there are 2 trends that I want to really kind of touch on, right? The first one is, everything is digital, right? This is a great example. $1.6 billion company goes out of business overnight. Why? Obviously, nobody wants. I mean, today, if I want to go to Costa Rica, I can find my own. I can build the trip myself because the information is available online. I can figure out whether I want to go surfing or I want to do it. I can create my own trip. Thomas Cook started, obviously 35, 40 years ago when the ability to kind of create your own experience wasn't there, right? And so they were curating the experience for you. Great. And today, obviously, Thomas Cook went out of business, really, right? And so the thing is that they really kind of didn't go into kind of the digital kind of world, if you will. They didn't really see that coming, or they did see it and didn't do anything about it. Forever 21, again, they've shut down all their stores, right? Anything that's not having a digital strategy, typically will, frankly, going out, it has a high risk of going out of business. So that's kind of number one trend that we kind of, I think we all know it, but we kind of, if you're not going digital, then it's going to be really, really difficult for you to kind of survive. And this digital connectivity is like super, I mean, if you obviously, I go to India a lot, in markets like India, where literally we have 1.5 billion people, like always connected, with a digital kind of endpoint, if you will, which is, I think, if you kind of step back and think about just the impact of the ability to connect with anybody, anytime across the globe, that itself is a pretty like we are living in some different transformative time, right? Like, we've never had the capacity as a human race to say, like, we are truly connected with everybody, right? And everybody's got a digital smartphone, and everybody's connected, like, literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that's kind of like the digital connectivity is I would say, like a very important part of what's going on right now. So the other trend that I want to kind of talk about is really what I call hyper adoption, right? It's like when things work, right, there's a massive influx of people trying to use that when things actually do work, right? And that's why you see these steep curves of companies when things are starting to work in their favor effectively, right? We still have a problem with the clicker, I guess, right? Yeah. So this and the hyper adoption really kicks in when people, when you kind of get something right effectively, right? You're getting something right when there is hyper adoption kicking in, right? And these are good examples. Rappi is a great example. Like, I know most of the people here don't know about it, but it's in Latin America. They literally are like, like an Uber for anything, frankly, literally, right? Interestingly, I left my car charger somewhere else, and the guys in my office were like, "Don't worry about it. We'll just Rappi it back to you." So they paid somebody to pick up the car charger, the phone charger, from the hotel, from the restaurant, and bring it to my hotel. So that's a kind of interesting kind of like, yeah, we don't even have to go. I mean, yeah, we have this is literally they built the Uber for everything, right? Literally, you could ask them to do, go deposit this money into an ATM, right? They, even things like that. So that, I mean, why is this relevant? Like, if you combine hyper adoption and the digital trends, like, you get an exponential outcome in terms of business obviously a financial outcome over here. And so I look at QuestionPro, a little bit about QuestionPro. We kind of started off obviously in the survey platform, the survey business. But today we are kind of like looking into the future. It's about measuring experiences across multiple models, right? And we do not necessarily stay in one side. It's like, okay, it's measuring customer experiences, measuring product experiences, and measuring employee experiences, right? And the ability to measure it is kind of one part of what we already do. As we look into the future, is like the ability to transform it is what we want to do, right? We've had great partnerships. We bought like with WorkXO, where we are on the employee engagement side and the employee experience side. Not only do we help companies measure their culture, but we also have an action plan model associated with it. What do you do for the next 6 months to be intentional about your culture within the employee experience space? So that's where we believe that we are going to head, is not just about data collection. Obviously, we start off with data collection, but we are going to build models, and throughout the day today, you'll hear from everybody around. That'll be the core focus of our kind of go forward strategy. Is like, data collection is one component, and kind of like transformation is the other component. So we want to bring about transformation into businesses so that behavioral change can actually happen. This is kind of how we are kind of organizing our platform. To some extent, we believe there are 3 pillars to what we offer today. Obviously, research and insights is kind of where a lot of customers, a lot of people start. They want to find out, hey, what should we do in the future, right? We're trying to help companies answer that problem. What should you do going forward? What are the new ideas? What are the new products that you want to launch? Customer experience is the second option of our pillar, where like how do we really understand how our current customers feel? How are they behaving? Can we source them for ideas? Can we really kind of change that process realistically? And then the third pillar of our business is really employee experience, and understanding, again, same argument oriented towards the employees. So we've kind of organized ourselves into 3 different platforms, effectively 3 different product lines would be probably the right answer here. And we've obviously clearly made acquisitions in some of these spaces, and we're continuing to innovate in each of those markets effectively, in each of those product lines. And we believe having a unified approach to this is what we're quite frankly, that's where I believe we are, obviously we're going to head towards. So I want to kind of give you guys a little bit kind of input into or at least talk a little bit about 3. We're doing a lot of feature enhancements, a lot of product enhancements. We'll hear through the platform, and that'll continue on. But the 3 platform enhancements that I feel are representative. I mean, I would not say these are the only product enhancements we're doing, but these are representative of how we are thinking, and the kind of the model behind how we are thinking effectively. So the first one is kind of, there's a point of it's the physical experience, really, right? This is what we are actually working with Canada Post on also, and we've done this with Dubai airports. We want to create an experience where you can give feedback without touching a screen effectively, right? So these are kiosks that we've built, not built, but kiosks that run on iPads that does facial recognition when you come in front of it effectively. So let's see. So when you imagine a kiosk, you come in front of it, and that recognizes a human being, and then you can either give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's it, and it is recognizing that through our platform. And of course, there's voice there. That's an easy kind of addition to voice. So this is something that we are piloting right now. I wouldn't say that we've released it, but this is an example of kind of where we are trying to kind of move the puck further, Whether this really sticks and gets to scale, we have no idea, but we'll definitely give it a shot in terms of trying to kind of at least innovate in terms of how do we kind of make that interaction, going beyond the touch screen effectively. Let me see. All right. So the second one we want to do is we collect about, I think, like 4.5 million surveys a week across all our customers across the globe. And one of the things that we know and we realize is like customers paying attention to to any kind of interaction is extremely limited. And you only, our analysis, we only have 1.8 seconds for somebody to really give their time effectively. So we said like, okay, what can we do to make the survey experience itself highly engaging, right? What can we do to kind of reduce that time? Collect the same amount of data that we need to collect, all right? And we call this auto advance or kind of auto scroll. And as you can see, there is no need for scrolling anymore, right? As you pick the answers to the surveys, the system moves to the right question one after the other. It may seem like a small thing, but it actually has a huge impact in terms of how people feel when they're going through the process, right? How do our customers feel when they're going through the process of taking the surveys? Like, no, I don't have to scroll up and down. Like the experience is extremely fluid, right? And operationally, again, we have a huge efficiency again in terms of people are for the same amount of data for a 20-question survey. It literally takes 1/3 the time or 1/4 the time to go through that process. So just having that experience itself is very, very pleasing. We've done internal research, and this has been a huge boost for us effectively. So this again, UX is something that we want to innovate on, both from the survey development and product perspective, and also from the user perspective, from the customer, kind of like our customer perspective. And I think that's an important element to the way we think about it, right? UX is an important element, not just features and functionality, but really understanding how people feel as they go through the process with us. And the last thing I want to talk about from a feature perspective is NPS. So we've obviously, all of us have done NPS studies. We've done a lot of work on NPS as a measurement model for loyalty and loyalty, satisfaction, however you want to argue about it and talk about it. And we kind of said like, okay, what can we do to make this thing better, right? And the first thing, NPS is a great tool to measure loyalty and or kind of operational data. But the root cause analysis of it has been extremely difficult for most companies. Like, okay, tell me you like me or hate me, then the question is why, right? And we want to make it simple. And a lot of companies have tried, let's do some text analytics, put that in play, and we get a lot of false positives when you do the text analytics piece, realistically. And so we decided that what we're going to do is come up with a set of parameters that, from an experience perspective, once you give us the NPS rating, we just display, tell me why you gave us this score. And there's a finite list of items, right? If you start thinking about it, the finite list of items it cannot be a massive list. So what we do is we look at how everybody is selecting, and based on that, we display the list effectively. So let's take this event as an example. There's a finite things of items that can go right, that can go wrong effectively, right? You like the food, Vivek talks too fast, doesn't talk enough, whatever it is really, right? And so the list is reasonably finite. And what we do is like you come up with the initial list, and then we keep adding and removing items to that list dynamically as people are selecting them, right? So which means if there is a problem, the items, if you have a list of 25, physically we cannot show 25 items. What we do is we sort those items based on at any point of time in the last n number of events, what people have been selected. So very likely that those are the issues that are pertaining to this particular experience, right? So that's kind of like, if you think about NPS, so we've measured NPS, measure current state, find out the root cause, and the third component of that is let's ask customers what we can do better, because let's look into the future too, not just look backwards, right? And so so what we want to do there is we allow people to not only post ideas but vote on each other's ideas also. effectively. So all three components within a span of, our goal is to get this done within a span of 20 seconds, right? So tell me where you are, tell me why you give me the score, and tell me how I can do better, effectively. So all three components, effectively. So, and we came up with a pretty interesting model over here. So we kind of like, you have 5 votes. You can give 3 votes to one idea, 2 votes to the other idea. So it's a fairly kind of like a fluid and dynamic experience over there. So this is, we are calling this the NPS plus question type. That is part of our system. So it's kind of, all these 3 components in a box, effectively. So this is going to get released. It's already released right now in beta with a lot of our customers, and next quarter we're going to release this thing out. So these are 3 kind of like product enhancements that we obviously are working on. I also want to talk about a few kind of partnerships that I think are going to truly enhance kind of what customers get out of QuestionPro. I'll go down this list. Escher is a point of sale platform that they sell to all the postal services. So we are partnered with them for Canada Post, for example. So they are the point of sale system that literally they sell to every single postal system in the world. And we are kind of partnering up with them to kind of provide kind of the experience measurement models for all the postal services, including Dubai Post, Canada Post, and everybody else that they are selling to. IdeaScale is a platform that Rob and I started a long time ago. Rob runs it today, and it's an innovation platform that helps. Obviously, and Rob, I'd like to have you come over and talk about IdeaScale in a minute. We've done a partnership deal with IdeaScale where all QuestionPro customers can get IdeaScale as part of the current MSA and parts of the current offering. You don't have to go out and source it separately. It's part of the platform that we offer. And it'll start making sense. And TryMyUI is the other platform that I'm very closely involved with Rith over there. They kind of, TryMyUI helps solve the user experience problem, effectively. So if you look at it the way we think about kind of like digital transformation in an organization, QuestionPro is intrinsically providing research, customer and employee experience. TryMyUI provides the user experience platform, and IdeaScale provides the innovation basis. So now we have a suite of products that truly can kind of help businesses transform across the board. Rith, you want to come up and just talk a little bit about TryMyUI?
How's it going? I'm here for millennial relatability reasons. I'm the young, funny guy. Good morning. My name is Vivek Bhaskaran. I'm the co-founder of TryMyUI, and really quick, I think of QuestionPro as a hello. I think of QuestionPro as like a CX conference, like a CX platform, and this is like a CX conference, and UX is sort of a critical part of that. Right? The idea is like intuition versus feedback, intuition versus recall, surveys, etc. Those are critical to measure someone's recollection of an experience they've had, or kind of the thought they have after they've gone through an experience. But you also want to be able to measure how someone is when they're going through like the actual thing. You want to view them in real time, and you want to view their experience in real time. So our platform records real users going through your app or your website, etc., and has them go through a set of tasks and records their screen and voice as they're going through it, and gives you that data along with a bunch of analytics. So you're not it's to supplement your surveys. So you're running surveys, but you're also at the same time recording what actual real users are doing on your platform. So simple questions to consider, like, you want to know what your users say and what they do. You want to know what your users think after the fact and in the moment. So reasoning is great, but intuition is better. You want to try and measure intuition, like what the gut feel and the gut reaction of users are on your platform, and that's what we aim to deliver to you.
Thank you, Rith. And Rob. Rob is my good friend and partner for many, many years.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Is this working? Great to see you guys. Thanks for having me. So I'll tell you a quick story about Viv, actually. you heard the story about building computers in his garage. My favorite one, though, is in the morning, he kind of sleeps in, so he's a night owl, right? So his wife comes in, and she's rattling off the honey-do list, okay? All the things you have to do. You know, hey, can you clean out the garage and mow the lawn and all this stuff? And, you know, just barely eyes open, yeah. And then at the end of the list, she kind of walks up, she comes back in. Oh, and by the way, the internet's down. And boom, right up. Because the internet in the house also ran QuestionPro, right?
So was a T1 line.
That's how you know you get Viv up. So anyway, I used to work at QuestionPro, actually, in the early days. It was pretty fun. I think still when there were servers in the garage, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, so when I was there, well, actually, I quit my job to work at QuestionPro because I was really frustrated that my boss wasn't listening to me anymore. And I went to a new startup where my boss listened to me even less. So, but that was good because I turned that into some frustration and started my own company with Viv, of course. And basically, you know, my frustration there was I worked with a lot of survey clients, and that open-ended text question, that comment question, was really frustrating for a lot of people. Like, how do I sift through all this data, all these comments? And what I discovered is that there are actually some people that didn't even know what question to ask, right? It's like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Any fans? Okay, all right. Right? You got to find the question first before you ask the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So anyway, clicker, by the way? Yeah. So we've evolved quite a bit. We're all over the world now. We've collected, I think, over 15 million ideas. And just a quick summary of what I've learned in my 10 years running IdeaScale. So what we found is driving innovation requires, obviously, scale. You need people. You still need people. As a matter of fact, I think with today's tech lash, we're realizing we need people more than ever, not less, right? So we help people, we help organize people and organize them into a community to actually get ideas, right? Ideas is what we do. We're idea people. We collect a lot of them. We use a little bit of machine learning to organize those ideas. We also use people to train that machine learning, to link them, add metadata, right? Organize it, and build basically an idea portfolio, right? Oh boy, that is a delay. Let's get some batteries in this bad boy, huh? Okay, so, and then of course, engagement, right? An engaged employee is a happy employee, right? An engaged customer is probably going to talk about your brand a little bit more. About a year ago, I was a little frustrated. I was camping with my Tesla, didn't have all the features I needed. Just tweet at Elon, boom, push out a release. Camping mode, right? No problem. And guess what? I am going to lecture people about that feature forever, right? So it builds a brand, and it gets people excited about what you do. But most importantly, and I think this is actually probably underrated in our space, is you need a diversity of ideas. Has anybody read The Innovator's Dilemma? Yes? All right, good. So the idea is basically you have a really deep hierarchy in an organization, right? A lot of middle managers, a lot of directors. No offense if anyone is a middle manager right here. But you know what? They're really good at de-risking. Killing all the risky ideas, right? But some of those risky ideas are the most valuable, right? They're going to change your company, right? And it takes a lot of bravery to get those ideas up to the organization, up to upper management, right? So we try to do that. We try to create a little bit of bravery in your company, right? So people submit ideas, they vote on them, it gets noticed, right? That's the most important thing. So anyway, I'd love to work with you guys. Please come and talk to me. I don't bring business cards, right? So we're going to use LinkedIn today. I don't know about anyone else, but yeah, if you want to check out IdeaScale, I'd love to talk to you about more.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Terrible clicker.
Yeah. So, yep. and we talked about Azure a little bit. That's about it. I mean, we have a all day kind of like an amazing amount of speakers today to talk about research, CX, and everything in between. And I'm happy to answer questions. Are there any questions? We can go through the process.
Why did I get the good friend intro?
You got the good friend intro?
You were like, Nith, you want to come talk about Try My UI? Then you were like, Rob, my good friend.
Because I've known Rob for way longer than I've known you. And you're a millennial. Easily offended, that's true. There you go. Any questions, thoughts, comments? All right. Good stuff.